because as a minister, we don't run contracts. We don't sign contracts, we don't run contracts. Ours is only policy and political oversight. So we don't go into the the nitty-gritties of running a contract. Every contract has a contract manager, and the contract manager is given that responsibility, except where the contract manager raises issues which require the intervention of the minister, then that's when the minister can come in. But as you realize that this project, first of all, by the time it became, we never had a tolling policy. So the first thing was to get a tolling policy, which Parliament passed in 2018, and that's when the entry now into tolling came. And of course, as already explained, it is different from what happened with Kenya. Kenya with the CRBC, for them they did a PPP, public-private partnership, and the company recoups its money. In this case, it was in our case, it was design, build, and transfer, which was different, and which, of course, as already highlighted by the executive director, the processes were done to contract the right person to operate. I for one, in this case, where they're passing on the back and the coming up with a new contractor, since there's a provision within the contract with Aegis, the novation, and the novation was authorized by the Attorney General, because the process again was pursued to get the novation done, and the Attorney General approved the novation. And also, given that this is a local company, and we have been fighting for enabling local companies to build capacity, I would have no qualms having a local company to run the tolling. Yes, there may be lessons learned which we need to learn out of all this, but again, that's part of the growth, because others, we could not have known even some of the challenges if we had not picked on the challenge. So for me, I support the local company, and if there are issues which needs to be corrected to enable the local company to replace Aegis, which is a French company, I would be home and dry to have a local company running the contract. Of course, there's need to improve on the technology, as the modern technology goes. We have been, one of the things we did was to bring our ICT gurus on board to say, can you look at this technology and recommend which is the best way to go to improve on the services. And that's where they were examining the use of GAIN SS, which the Ministry of ICT was helping us to come up with. So, Honorable Chair, I would rather stick to the presentation as done by the contract manager and the additional information as provided by the executive director who had the project under her armpit, and I think she has provided very good information.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, do you wish to say something? Or
whole system, during the beginning or the start of our induction with the Ministry of Works, we decided to establish the status of each sector, CAA, the express toll. So wanted to know the status, and it is how we came up with this. I may call it investigation, because investigation is not always bad, at times it is good. Because we want to prepare for the next tolling that could be on the Ginger and any other road. So we wanted to understand the circumstances under which these people are operating, how the ministry came to give this contract to a private company. And in so doing, we decided to invite everyone, because of principles of natural justice, everyone must be given a fair hearing. before we make a final report. So we have invited the accounting officer today. We have not met her, the former accounting officer, UNRA, Madam Allen Kajina. We've also invited the former Minister of Works, Cabinet Minister, General Katumba Wamala, and the ministry is also here together. We hope Aegis will also come because this is the last meeting. I've also received communication from the General. He is needed in State House at midday, so we shall give him an opportunity where necessary to present as early as possible. But I believe all of us have things to do. So without wasting much time, can we have the ministry give your presentation? Then we will hear from the former accounting officer of UNRA, and lastly, General Katumba Wamala. Then members can come in with all the necessary questions or clarifications. Can we start? Can we have copies of your presentation?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We submitted the copy.
And in addition, Uganda is still largely a cash-based economy that is just transiting to electronic payments. Payment on performance, what measurable asset condition indices and service level reports have been submitted and verified for the period January 2022 to June 2026. The ministry has received and verified the following service level reports: the lighting condition report, the structure condition report, the monthly formal inspection reports, and the road safety reports, amongst others. These all have measured KPIs. What deductions, if any, have been applied for non-performance under the contract? In total, the ministry has deducted over 9 billion shillings from the operator against the contract. That explains why we never utilized the entire 55 billion after 5 years. The variance of that is deductions that have been progressively applied. Provide the current status of fencing, crash barrier protectors, and lighting reliability of the expressway. The ministry has so far fenced 14 kilometers of the road, and more kilometers shall be fenced pending right of way boundary opening, which is scheduled this year. The crash barriers, over 4 kilometers of guardrails have been installed in replacement of damaged, and also others installed for additional safety. We installed 17 impact attenuators at the toll lanes entries, and we also installed 1,087 lights along the entire expressway. Page 18. When did the contract between UNRA and Aegis commence? According to the notification of award to Aegis, the commencement date was to be communicated in writing. Can the ministry furnish the committee with the document communicating the commencement date of the contract? The contract was signed on 13th April 2021, and the commencement issued on 24th May 2021. The amount was communicated. This was communicated in writing, and a letter has been annexed. The contract between UNRA and Aegis was for 60 months, extendable by 24 months, subject to satisfactory performance. Was satisfactory performance established before the contract was extended, and basing on what parameters? Honorable members, the performance evaluation and report was undertaken to determine the overall performance of the operator to inform the extension of the contract, and a copy of that report was submitted and annexed as Annex 12. What steps led to the identification of Pinnacle by Aegis and the Ministry of Works? Was a due diligence exercise carried out by Ministry of Works on Pinnacle to establish its ability to implement the contract? Pinnacle was a named subcontractor at bidding stage under Aegis, and they undertook performance of all highway operations from commencement. The commitment to reassign to a local firm was indicated in the Aegis proposal. After 5 years of operations, Pinnacle has gained significant experience in highway tolling operations, highway operations and tolling. Was the innovation agreement approved by the Attorney General in line with Article 119, Section 5 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda? If yes, can the committee be furnished with a copy of the Attorney General's approval of the innovation agreement? Members, the innovation agreement was approved on 22nd April. There is need to scrutinize the memorandum of articles, the memorandum and articles of association of Pinnacle Security Limited to ascertain whether the obligations under the contract are within the objects of Pinnacle Security Limited. The memorandum and articles of association of Pinnacle Security Limited has been availed, submitted and annexed. And lastly, according to the payment mechanism under the contract, the contractor is supposed to be paid quarterly. How often is the contractor paid and based on what agreement? Members, the contractor is paid on a monthly basis in accordance with the general conditions of contract, clause 49, and that's the basis. Chair, that was our submission. I submit.
Okay. We have just received another Honorable Minister who was the head legal.
Operator, and then the manner in which the arrangement performed. Honorable Chair, I served as Executive Director of Uganda National Roads Authority.
Kindly pull the microphone closer. We have a challenge. There's a lot of noise outside.
Until 23rd December.
Honorable members, just a minute. Honorable members, kindly take your seats. Proceed.
2024. Financing. Honorable Chairman, government borrowed $350 million from the Export-Import Bank of China and a facility agreement dated the 18th of May 2011. The lender required that its loan be serviced from the revenues of the road, and two instruments give effect to that requirement: the Repayment Mechanism Agreement of 2012 and the Escrow Agreement of 2016. Taken together, these instruments do three things. First, they require the appointment of an operator, and they vest in the bank the approval of both the operator and the annual operating budget. The authority applied for that, no objection, and the bank confirmed its approval in October of 2021. Second, they establish the order in which funds leave the account, operating costs first and loan repayment thereafter. Third, they impose controls upon the account itself. The authorities certified at that time each withdraw together with the calculations supporting it. The bank countersigned and the lender received monthly payments, monthly statement of both accounts. The legal framework. Honorable members, I turn to the authority under which the tolls are charged. In 2018, the Solicitor General advised that tolls could not lawfully be collected under the Tolling Policy or the Uganda Road Fund Act or the Public Finance Management Act, requiring an Act of Parliament to authorize a collection of that character. The Roads Act of 2019 conferred that authority, and it is under that act that this road is tolled. This change, the charges themselves were approved at ministerial level. The authority applied in January of 2022 for the monthly retention payable to the operator and for the 3% charge upon card payments. The Minister of Works forwarded the application with no objection, and the Minister of State for Finance granted approval in February of 2022, restating the applicable caps. The procurement. Honorable Chairperson, the authority procured the operator under the procurement reference UNRA/CONS/2018-189/0005. The procurement was in two stages. A pre-qualification was advertised with the closing date of the 24th of September 2018, and with some 10 applications were received. The bid notice for the procurement itself was published on the 19th of September 2019, and bidding documents were issued to 5 firms: Aegis International, China Communications Construction Company, the Korea Expressway Corporation, Vinci Concessions, and Sogea Satom and AECOM with Intertoll Africa. 2 bids were received at the deadline of the 24th of January 2020. The consortium of China Communications Construction Company and Codro C Investment Company and Aegis Road Operations, these are the 2 that submitted before the deadline. Each lodged a bid security of 800 million shillings. The outcome of the evaluation was communicated to the bidders on the 20th of February 2020. The consortium was found not to have complied with clause 4.4.5 of the instructions to bidders and did not qualify for financial bid opening. The financial bid opening was held on the 12th of March 2020, at which Aegis financial proposal was opened and its price disclosed. The consortium complained first to the executive director of the authority and then lodged an administrative review with the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority on the 27th of March 2020. Its case was that the disqualification under the clause 4.4.4.5 was wrong. On the 22nd of June 2020, the authority, that is the PPDA, upheld the complaint and directed that the technical bids be re-evaluated. Upon that re-evaluation, the consortium was found eligible and was recommended for financial evaluation, and the best evaluated bidder notice was published. Aegis then applied to the PPDA Appeals Tribunal on the 20th of August 2020, in application number 8 of 2020, on the ground that the consortium had been readmitted to the procurement without notice to Aegis. On the 3rd of September 2020, the tribunal upheld the application and directed PPDA to notify all interested bidders and to determine the complaint afresh. The PPDA did so, and on the 12th of October 2020, it again upheld the consortium's complaint, directing the authority to re-evaluate the technical bids and to ask the bidders to resubmit their financial proposals. Aegis applied to the tribunal a second time, and on 26th of October 2020, in application number 11 of 2020, upon 3 grounds. First, that China Communication Construction Company had no standing of its own to bring the complaint, the bidder being the consortium and not the company alone. Second, that PPDA had erred in finding the company not to be conflicted in respect of this procurement. And third, that since the Aegis financial proposal had already been opened and its price disclosed at the financial opening of the 12th of March, a re-evaluation and a resubmission of financial proposals could not be lawfully be directed. The evaluation regulations permitting financial comparisons only of proposals opened at that session. The relief Aegis sought was that the orders of the PPDA be set aside and that it proceed to the best evaluated bid stage. The tribunal determined that application on the 9th of November 2020, and it was upon that determination that the authority proceeded to award. The award was notified on the 15th of February 2021. It awarded the contract for a term of 5 years at the sum stated in the notification, which is inclusive of all applicable taxes. It provided for the 3% charge upon electronic card payments, and it required performance security within 28 days and the disclosure of beneficial ownership within 8 business days. The notification stated that the commencement date would be communicated in writing and that the period ran for 60 months thereafter. That commencement order issued on the 21st of May 2021 under Clause 10.1 of the General Conditions, fixing the commencement at the 24th of May 2021 and completion at the 23rd of May 2026. The lender was engaged in this procurement throughout. Under the Repayment Mechanism Agreement of 2012, the appointment of the operator and the annual operation and maintenance budget both required the approval of the Exim Bank of China. The authorities sought that no objection by the letter of 7th of May 2021, submitting with it the operation and maintenance budget for the financial year 2021-2022. Bank confirmed its approval by letter of 14th of October 2021, recording that the operator had been selected by the project owner and approved by the bank in accordance with that agreement. In the same letter, the bank asked why the consortium bidder had not been successful, and the authority replied on the 21st of February 2022, setting out this history and enclosing the decision of the tribunal. 5. The operational history and what the records show. Honorable Chairman, the contract required of the independent traffic monitoring system within 3 months of the commencement, and the authority's internal audit report of July 2022 records that it had not been installed as at that date. The same report addresses the automatic vehicle classifier, which the contract likewise required. It records that the classifier had not been provided, that vehicles were being classified manually by toll collectors, and that the classification was erroneous. Monthly reconciliation of toll revenue was conducted from January to July 2022 and suspended with effect from August of the same year. The internal memorandum of December 2022 records three reasons for the suspension: that the toll collection system was not consistently available, that the data varied between extractions, the transactions for September 2022 extracted upon 5 separate dates, returning 5 different totals, and that the revenue banked exceeded the transactions recorded by the system. Number 6, what was put to the operator and what followed? Honorable Chairman and honorable members, the record begins in May 2022 with a consultation meeting with Aegis and an agreed action matrix, followed in June by a letter requesting progress. In July, the authority's internal auditors reported upon the operation, raising 29 findings, each with an agreed corrective action and a due date. In October of that year, the operator submitted its proposed method of vehicle classification, being software which compares a photograph of the side of a vehicle against stored images. The authority declined it, as it could not deliver the 97% accuracy which the contract required. The authority directed classification by axle, length, and height, and required that the monitoring system count independently of the collection system. In November, the authority wrote to the Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority, requesting forensic support to examine the toll system, and commissioned that examination. In December, the suspension of the reconciliations was formally reported, together with the reasons and the evidence supporting it. 2023. In May of that year, the authority's Directorate of Network Planning and Engineering reported to the Executive Director by memorandum of the 24th of May 2023 that the toll collection system had never complied with the contract. It was not open source. Transactions were not uniquely identifiable from the lane upwards. It was not certified. There was no classifier, and there was no as-built documents. The Directorate recommended that payment not be made, and payment was not made. The sum was 5.8 billion shillings. In June, the authority put that assessment to the operator in a meeting. The operator confirmed that the system was not open source, that it belonged to a company partly owned by Aegis, and that the source code would not be surrendered. In the same month, the authority declined to accept weighbridge operations in the absence of the weigh-in-motion system. In August, the matter was placed before the Minister of Works. It was agreed that the National Information Technology Authority of Uganda would advise, and that the contract would be reviewed. And later in that month, the authority recommended the removal of the monitoring system, the overload control system, and the road safety facilities from the operator's scope, together with the costs attached or attaching to them. In October, the authority notified the operator that it had exceeded the subcontracting limit under the contract without the authority's approval. In 2024, February, the monitoring system was tested, and the operator requested its certificate.
What is the subcontracting limit?
15. 15, yes.
And they had exceeded by how many?
They had gone up to 2020, up to 25. The director, former director, will give details. The authority issued the certificate with an addendum and withheld the unrestricted certificate. 3 matters remaining outstanding. Pressed the matter again in April, and the certificate was not issued. In May, the Executive Director wrote to the operator concerning access to the tolling data under Clause 6.5 of the contract, which requires the operator to afford the authority and the Auditor General unimpeded access. The authority's audit team had left a drive with the operator's Information Technology Office in January for a server image and had not had it returned. The letter set a final date, put the operator upon notice that the authority would pursue legal means, and was copied to the Honorable Minister. In October, URA delivered its forensic report. Honorable Chairperson, that report, that is the record from July 2022 to the month preceding the transfer of the functions of the authority to the ministry. Where matters stood at the 23rd of December 2024. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I turn to the 23rd.
Do you have a copy of this forensic report?
Yes, Honorable.
Can we have copies of those attachments?
I have the attachments. I got them last night. They were all in soft copy. So if you will allow me, we can bring them after the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can, okay.
You can share the soft copy. Okay.
You can share with the clerk, who can share with the members to follow.
Yes, sir. Members, I turn to the 23rd of December 2024, the date upon which the functions of the authority passed to the ministry. A number of the matters I've described were open on that date and had not been concluded. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, 2 matters in closing. First, there are matters before this committee which arose after December 2024, the extension, the change of operator, and the certificates and areas of 2025. Those records passed to the ministry with the road, and the Honorable Minister and the team will provide response. Secondly, there are documents to which I have referred in this brief, which I no longer hold for the same reason. However, I did write to the acting PS, and she provided many of those documents which are on the soft copy that I'll be sharing. A few are not there, but we've agreed with the PS that they will be provided after this. I thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members.
You want to say something now or late?
I don't have much to say. As you realize that this is 2026, and you have heard when this matter came to the ministry. And so we have been relying and depending on the contract manager, because we had not changed the contract manager. So I will stick to what the contract manager provided, and the PS, Minister of Works, may add, because as a minister, we don't run contracts. We don't sign contracts, we don't run contracts. Ours is only policy and political oversight. So we don't go into the nitty-gritties of running a contract. Every contract has a contract manager, and the contract manager is given that responsibility, except where the contract manager raises issues which require the intervention of the minister, then that's when the minister can come in. But as you realize that this project, first of all, by the time it became, we never had a tolling policy. So the first thing was to get a tolling policy, which Parliament passed in 2018, and that's when the entry now into tolling came. And of course, as already explained, it is different from what happened with Kenya. Kenya with the CRBC, for them they did a PPP, public-private partnership, and the company recoups its money. In this case, it was in our case, it was design, build, and transfer, which was different, and which, of course, as already highlighted by the executive director, the processes were done to contract the right person to operate. I for one, in this case where they are passing on the buck and the coming up with a new contractor, since there's a provision within the contract with Aegis, the novation, and the novation was authorized by the Attorney General, because the process again was pursued to get the novation done, and the Attorney General approved the novation. And also, given that this is a local company, and we have been fighting for enabling local companies to build capacity, I would have no qualms having a local company to run the tolling. Yes, there may be lessons learned which we need to learn out of all this, but again, that's part of the growth, because otherwise we could not have known even some of the challenges if we had not picked on the challenge. So for me, I support the local company, and if there are issues which needs to be corrected to enable the local company to replace Aegis, which is a French company, I would be home and dry to have a local company running the contract. Of course, there's need to improve on the technology, as the modern technology goes. We have been, one of the things we did was to bring our ICT gurus on board to say, can you look at this technology and recommend which is the best way to go to improve on the services. And that's where they were examining the use of GAIN SS, which the Ministry of ICT was helping us to come up with. So, Honorable Chair, I would rather stick to the presentation as done by the contract manager, and the additional information as provided by the executive director who had the project under her armpit, and I think she has provided very good information.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, do you wish to say something, or in your capacity?
Allow me to greet you and to introduce myself as Mary Kamulikutesa and MP Mwenge County South, blessed by the grace of God, Minister of State for Gender and Culture. Colleagues and Chairman, I am here by an invitation which I received yesterday, and it said there would be issues particularly that I should respond to, but unfortunately those issues were not attached. So I wrote back to you, Chair, saying if there are any issues, please do share them that were meant for my attention. But let me state this for the record. I have been supervised by many people in my life, and the lady that sits before you, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of this august house, is one of the best champions this country has. And you will see very well from what she has presented that the performance of the contract was never left without test. I was responsible for that matrix after it was audited to make sure compliance happened. And we went through the matrix, which is exactly what she has presented. So, Chair, even if you were to ask me for anything, I would not state anything beyond what is here. But if there is anything that you so wish to ask me to respond to directly, I'll be happy to receive it in writing and respond. For the record, again, allow me to thank my former supervisor, the best that there is in this country. Thank you, honorable colleagues.
Okay. So, even from the former ED UNRA, they have confirmed several of our concerns. Now, many are you a network planner, so you understand the importance of data. So how you answer the next questions will determine how you and your department leave this room. So first of all, tell the members what is an ATC. Just help them explain.
An ATC is an automated traffic counter.
Okay. In Uganda, how many roads have this ATC? You may need to open your laptop, Joan.
So far we have on the network, on the national network, we have 10 ATCs.
You have a domain of 100, but you have only uploaded 10. Not so?
No,
the license is for 100.
No, Chair. We have 10 ATCs that were installed last year through a contract. And so far we are monitoring at 10. The other 10, 15 were old from 2015, 2013, which were retired because the technology had gone down.
The question is, the license we are paying is for 100. But we have only managed to put 10 on the system.
No, sir. We may be talking about different things, but the ATCs that are installed through a contract...
I'm now talking about the system, not the installation. I know we have 10.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking Joan to open her laptop. Because the other day you are going to present data on the project. And I believe this is what you are going to present. Reason as to why I'm asking, you talk about on page 7, an independent traffic and revenue monitoring system that captures and independently verifies traffic volumes. Now, an ATC would capture the number of vehicles, traffic, and it would classify, but it will not capture the weight. Am I correct?
You're right.
Okay, now how many ATCs do you have? You say 10. Where are they? Kindly give the members the locations of these ATCs.
Chair, maybe to clarify, if it's on the expressway.
Not yet on the express.
Yeah.
I've asked you give
on
us
the network.
where these 10 ATCs have been installed.
Yeah, on the network, we have an ATC at Chisui, just adjacent to St. Mary's College. We have an ATC at Mukono, just before we branched, after branching off to the university. We have an ATC in Buwama. We have an ATC after Ishaka. We have an ATC on Hoima Road.
Officially, the function will be on the 20th. But legally, I'm off the payroll. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You told me I have to read a lot of things. So I have to read a lot of things.
Okay, allow me to call this meeting to order. Clerk, prayer.
Let's humble ourselves for the Parliament prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the officers of leader, welfare of society, and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation, sojourn and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you've committed to their charge.
Thank you, Chair, Honorable Minister, and your team. My name is Nathan Vyanyima, Kanga North Constituency, Nisindio District, and a member of
Aine Godfrey Kakuta, Member of Parliament Maugua North Constituency, and member of this committee.
Staff.
Good clerk attached to the committee.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, Honorable Minister and your team. My name is Ali Onamara.
I used to be a director of road maintenance in UNRWA.
Good morning, Chair, honorable members. My name is Allen Katina, formerly ED UNRWA.
Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Engineer Menya Isaac. I'm the contract manager of the Continental Expressway.
An oversight report regarding the
I'll go page by page, and on page 1, the question reads, what informed Uganda's choice of a contractor, unlike the aforementioned countries? And the response is that the expressway was structured as a design and build transfer to government, and after the transfer, government contracted it out for operation and maintenance. In that regard, Uganda's decision to engage a private contractor to operate and maintain the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway was primarily informed by the financing and contractual obligations established under the original project's loan agreements. In specific, the loan agreement signed on 18th May 2011 guided the DB and the repayment mechanism agreement signed on 14th March 2012 guided the operation and maintenance, and escrow account agreement signed on 7th July 2016 guided the revenue management. We've annexed all the copies of the loan agreement in the file that was submitted. But in conclusion, unlike Uganda, where the government of Uganda is the concessionaire, Kenya constructed the Nairobi Expressway through a full public-private partnership where the investor invested in the road to recoup his payment through tolls, and therefore revenues therefore collected directly by the investor using his own mechanisms. Number 2, was a feasibility study conducted to determine the best approach to managing the toll services given the advantages of the alternative approaches, why or why not? Chair, yes, a feasibility study was conducted by a company called Toll Infrastructure Services in 2019, following the completion of the construction of the expressway. But as indicated above, the report also cited the limitations of alternative approaches such as PPP model, referenced to in Kenya, by the signed repayment mechanism agreement and escrow account agreement. We've annexed the feasibility study in the submission. And number 3 is, has the Ministry of Works and Transport conducted the feasibility study comparing the cost of self-managing versus contracting the operations and maintenance? Chair, this was the first expressway toll road in the country managed by the ministry and has been used as a baseline to study and build capacity on the operations and maintenance. The ministry is going to undertake a detailed cost comparison of self-management as opposed to outsourcing. I'll turn to page 2. This is under cost of operation and maintenance of the toll services. And the question was, how was the cost of the operator services of UGX 122 billion derived, including any considerations and assumptions made? The ministry undertook a unit rate build-up for all the constituent items, stock activities to be undertaken under the operation and maintenance contract. This was based mainly on historical and prevailing market rates of similar activities undertaken under the various contracts. The summation of all those informed the estimate for the operations and maintenance contract sum. The contract sum of 122 billion was the best evaluated bid price, which involved 9 international firms established through a competitive 2-stage international procurement process conducted in accordance with the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act and regulations, while adopting the World Bank's output and performance-based road contract procurement approach and bidding procedures. The scope of the contract covered a broad range of services, as we've outlined below. 1 was the routine and periodic road maintenance. 2 is the toll collection operations and toll plaza maintenance, marketing, branding, and customer service, incident management and emergency response, overload control, 24-hour route patrols and free roadside assistance, traffic management and road safety interventions, maintenance of road lighting, drainage, landscaping, and other roadside infrastructure. In addition to preserving the road asset, the contract provides value-added services that are generally not available on non-toll roads within the national road network. These include continuous road lighting, enhanced security, rapid incident response, routine patrols, timely maintenance interventions, and improved customer experience, all of which contribute to enhanced road safety, reduced travel times, and greater reliability for road users. And below is a summary of the contract price, breaking down the 122. We had performance-based operation and maintenance services totaling to 55 billion, taking a share of 45% of the whole contract. One-off design and construction works, 25 billion. These were done in the first 6 months of the contract. That takes 21%. Physical contingency on the one-off design was 10%, accounting for 2.5 billion. Admeasured road maintenance works, taking 12 billion, and that's 10%. Applied 10% physical contingency on admeasured works. We allowed for price variation, which is 10% of A, B, AD, and E, accounting to 6.9 billion, totaling to 104 billion. When we applied VAT of 18%, it came to 122 billion in total. The next question says, given that the project income was 146 billion, how could the operator be contracted at 122 billion, knowing that this would be at least 83.9% of the projected revenue, before factoring in the additional 3% from electronic card usage? Honorable members, government borrowed $350 million to develop a total of 52 kilometers, of the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway. This included Munyonyo Spa and the section of Mpala to Entebbe Airport. The toll section of that development is only 25 kilometers, and that is the Busega to Mpala section, which is equivalent, if we prorata by length over the amount, the Kampala Expressway alone, the 25 kilometers which is tolled, would total to about $168 million as an investment cost. While the balance of the 27 kilometers is not tolled and does not generate direct revenue, although it contributes to the GDP through the other exogenous benefits. Whereas the projected toll revenue for the initial 5-year period was projected at 146 billion, which was marginally higher than the contracted price of 122 billion, which represents 56% of the expected, this represents 56% of the expected realized revenue based on the current collections. In our projections, by December, we will have about 218 billion for the first 5 years. That is a realized revenue. As per June, we stood at 191 billion total collected. However, during the initial years of the operation of any greenfield toll road, such as the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway, it is generally expected that toll revenue may not be sufficient to fully meet operating and maintenance costs while simultaneously servicing project debt. While traffic volumes have continued to increase by approximately 5% per annum, consequently, the revenue performance is expected to increase to 289 billion within the next 5 years and about 369 billion within the next 10 years. I'll turn to page 4. Despite the next payments will significantly drop due to the advancement in technology and growth in the industry. Currently, the expressway operates at 28% in relation to operation and maintenance payments against the realized revenue per month. The next question is loan repayment for the financing received from Exim Bank of China using toll revenue was a primary consideration in introducing the toll charges. How did Minister of Works and Transport expect this to be achieved when the revenues were going to be used for management and operating expenses? Chair, while introducing toll charges on the expressway was one of the primary considerations, Clause 4.9 of the loan agreement provided that government obligation to repay the loan was not limited or contingent upon toll revenue collections only. And whereas the toll revenue was projected to be a significant contribution to the loan repayment, the road generates much more economic benefits as a contribution to the overall GDP of the country, and these include improved road safety, reduced travel time, reduced vehicle operating costs, and other exogenous benefits towards supporting tourism, manufacturing, and all the other sectors. The Ministry of Works is planning to undertake an economic analysis study to determine the current economic indicators of the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway in terms of internal rate of return and the net present value. Toll payment method. Why has the transition from cash-based to advanced electronic payment methods been slow? And in response, the toll feasibility report of 2018 recommended a gradual transition for Uganda based on the dominant cash economy at the time. This is further referenced in the willingness to pay survey, which we undertook in November 2018 to inform the toll payment options. World over, countries transitioned in tolling from manual, which is usually phase 1, electronic, which is phase 2, and the GNSS, which is phase 3. For example, countries such as Ethiopia, India, and South Africa, and Kenya implemented toll payments in phases, progressing from manual and cash-based systems to RFID-enabled electronic toll payments, and more recently towards free-flowing toll technologies, as shown below. We included a table in comparison to what the industry within the region is. Ethiopia operated under cash and NFC cards for 10 years until 2024. They launched the RFID in 2024, inclusive of cash. They have not yet gone to phase 3. India, on the other hand, operated cash up to 2016 Then the transition to electronic RFID tags up to 2025. And they've now implemented phase 3, which is the GNSS in 2025. South Africa launched electronic payments between 2004 and 2007, and GNSS in 2008. Kenya launched through its PPP the electronic payments in 2022, but they also include cash. And in Uganda, we've run on cash from 2022 to 2026, and we project to move on to electronic payments in 2027. So moving forward, the ministry is activating mobile money payments by September 2026 in the interim, and also transition to phase 2 by June 2027, which will expand the use of electronic toll collection technologies and further reduce reliance on cash payments. And in the longer term, the ministry envisages transitioning to phase 3 involving fully cashless, barrier-free toll collection using GNSS and related technologies. It should, however, be noted that for the ministry to fully transition to cashless payments, it would require additional investment in onboard units for the vehicles. The next question is, the operator collects cash payments, transports them, and banks them, and supervised by the Ministry of Works and Transport, despite concerns about the control mechanisms for verifying and authenticating the transactions. How does the ministry satisfy itself that reported cash transactions are as expected? Honorable members, the ministry has established a multi-layered monitoring and control framework to verify the completeness and accuracy of the cash collections and to provide assurance that the revenues reported by the operator are consistent with actual transactions. Specifically, the ministry relies on the following control measures. There is an independent traffic and revenue monitoring system that captures and independently verifies traffic volumes and toll transactions. The automatic counters on adjoining roads to the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway that also indicate the seasonal variation factors, and their daily and monthly revenue reconciliations comparing traffic records, toll transactions, cash collections, and bank deposits. And the fourth is video monitoring on tolling operations. In addition, all cash collected at toll plazas is transported through secure cash in transit services provided by Stanbic Bank Limited, which also serves as the escrow agent under the escrow account agreement. Cash handover records, deposit confirmations, and bank notifications are shared with the ministry, providing an independent verification of amounts transmitted from the toll plazas to the designated accounts. Page 6. A sample of the daily reconciliation records for the month of May 2026 and cash handover receipts has been availed as Annex 3. Given the 3% charge on electronic card payments, what is the total amount paid to the operator under this arrangement to date? Chair, the amount payable under this arrangement depends on the value of electronic card transactions processed each month. For instance, in June 2026, the 3% charge amounted to approximately 8.7 million for that month, while the average monthly payment being approximately 8.5. In the appendix, under the reconciliations, we provided the full amount, which is totaled up to date. Why is the 3% levy maintained, given that it dissuades rather than encourages the road owners' adoption of electronic payment methods? The 3% is a payment to the operator to cover the costs related to cashless payments and is paid by government, not the road user. And therefore is not a levy, and it's within the contract sum. This is an incentive to the operator to promote cashless payments. Outstanding payment to Aegis and Pinnacle Security Limited. How does the Ministry of Works and Transport expect to discharge its contractual payment obligations? The balance of 67.8 billion to Aegis and the new operator, Pinnacle Security Limited. The ministry shall discharge its full payment options in accordance with the contract. However, note that the government of Uganda does not owe Aegis any amounts after the date of novation. The outstanding undischarged amount for the operations and maintenance is approximately 36 billion, at the time, which remains available under the extension period of the contract. And of the 36 billion, 11 billion is earmarked for routine operation and maintenance services, where the tolling operations fall. What will be the source of the funding for payment of the outstanding balance, given that funds were already transferred to the escrow account and Pinnacle Security Limited is already operating under similar payment terms? The ministry shall still use the same payment mechanism as denoted under the repayment mechanism agreement using the toll collections. The average monthly collections from the expressway as of June 2026 is about 3.9 billion, and the requirement for routine operations and maintenance is about 26% of the monthly collections, which is always available on the control account for payments to the operator. Road user traffic. How does the Ministry of Works and Transport ensure that the road user data used by the operator is authentic and verifiable? Road user traffic is related to the tolling, and the Ministry relies on the following control measures to independently verify the traffic, as listed above: the ITMS, the ATCs at the adjoining roads, the daily and monthly revenue reconciliations, and the video monitoring of toll operations. A copy of the daily reconciliation records for the month of May 2026 has been attached under Annex 3. What has the ministry done to verify the road user data to date? As explained above, the multi-layered and control framework elaborated above and the periodic toll revenue check within the with the latest having been undertaken in November 2025, and we've attached the toll revenue check report as Annex 4. Road maintenance components. When determining the payments due to the operator, does the Ministry of Works and Transport base the user rates on predetermined engineering estimates that the operator should not exceed when claiming payment? Honorable members, the ministry does not determine payments on the basis of engineering estimates. Payments are such with the provisions of the operations and maintenance contract and are based on the nature of works and services performed. On a monthly basis, the ministry evaluates the operator's application for payment and certifies the amount due under two distinct payment mechanisms. One is the performance-based lump sum payments. That includes the routine operations and maintenance services are paid on a fixed monthly lump sum basis as provided for in the contract, but this payment is subject to the operator achieving the prescribed performance standards, where inspections identify non-compliances. Where inspections identify non-compliance with the specified service levels, deductions are applied in accordance with the contract performance regime before certification of payment. Measured works, these are measured items, and payments for instructed improvement works, emergency works, or other activities outside the routine lump sum services are based on the actual quantities executed and measured on site. These quantities are valued using the contract rates agreed at contract award and are certified only after the ministry verifies that the works have been satisfactorily completed. How were the review and operator rates determined for the various categories of operation and maintenance activities on the project? The ministry based the operations and maintenance costs from the toll strategy report of 2019. The operator rates were established through a competitive international procurement process. These rates were evaluated during the tender process against the ministry's estimate and prevailing market rates. Sustainability of the road toll model. How sustainable has the toll revenue model been in ensuring that the toll revenue can actually repay the loan for the road construction? Government borrowed $350 million to develop the 52 kilometers of the Kampala Expressway, including the Munyonyo and Impala Airport. The toll section is 25. As said earlier, that equals about $168 million of the construction costs related to the toll section. So whereas the projected toll revenue for the initial 5 years was 146, the realized revenue, as earlier said, is 218 billion. While traffic volumes have continued to increase by approximately 5% per annum, here the revenue performance is expected. In 5 years, it will be 289. In the next 5 years, for the next 5 years, and 840 billion for the next 10 years. It will be 1.369 trillion for the last 10 years up to 2051 if we projected a constant traffic growth of 5% only. Taking the construction costs, this gives an expected cumulated revenue of 2.7 trillion over up to 2051. If we maintain the 28% of operational costs, which is really on the high side, the expected net revenue shall be 1.9 trillion. Taking the construction cost of 168 million, that is for the toll section, an equivalent of about 621 billion, the loan shall be fully repaid if we only applied it to the toll section by 2034. Page 9. What changes does the Minister of Works and Transport propose to ensure sustainability of the toll revenue, value for money, and that a significant share of collections is committed to loan repayments? As indicated in the toll strategy report, 1, enhanced network connectivity is one of the options, and construction of the Busega Systems interchange to eliminate traffic bottlenecks at the entry of the KEE at Busega shall result in traffic growth, which is expected to increase toll collections. Number 2, reframing of the toll strategy, of the tolling strategy. We intend to reframe the toll strategy in the successor contract to better cater for both frequent and occasional users. The revised approach will seek to improve user convenience using multiple payment channels, including electronic payments, and encourage greater utilization of the expressway. And number 3 is the construction of additional toll plazas, which can also be considered. Nachigala interchange between Busega and Kajansi, Arkwright interchange between Kajansi and Impala, and the eastern ramp plazas at the Reza interchange. Excuse me. Overall, the proposed measures are intended to ensure that the expressway's increasing traffic volumes translate into sustainable revenue growth while controlling the cost of collection and O&M. This will progressively improve the proportion of toll revenue available for loan-related obligations and further strengthen the long-term financial sustainability and value for money of the expressway. Data anomalies. Our independent Chair, allow me go to the response straight away. The table showed the inconsistencies. In our response, we've attached a table under Annex 5, and the difference in the revenue attributed is attributed to 1. In the analysis of the committee, the near field communication, those are the NFC cards, always have prepaid trips, and the revenue is credited on the control account at the time of purchase at the point of sale. In short, when I go to renew my card, that money moves directly to the control account in Stanbic. It's not held anywhere, and that's more like a prepaid. So the ministry has since deduced that the committee's figure includes NFC transaction amounts captured at the lane whose revenue was recognized at the time of purchase. So in the records at the tolling, the NFC will indicate a charge, but that's in actual sense that money already went to the bank. And then 3, the interest earned and collections on the last day of the month, they are banked in the subsequent month. You'll notice that in December 2025, taking an example, the month ended on a Sunday, and those collections are deposited on the next day. If you check the statement, it indicates the collections of of November 31st, November 30th, I think. They're under the statement of December, plus all the other. Those are the inconsistencies that we noted. We'll go to page 10. So, in conclusion, on the data anomalies, the ministry requests for reconciliation between the committee's reported revenue and the operator's reported revenue. We believe that if we sat down, we can iron out the anomalies because this is data we're talking about. And what is your counting or reported process? What in your counting or reported process would produce a gap that keeps growing rather than staying constant? And honorable members, in relation to the one above, the minister also requests for reconciliation between the committee's reported traffic and the operator's reported traffic so that we can look at the numbers jointly and see where the anomalies are coming from. Bank statements. What is the signature mandate of the account in Stanbic? Honorable members, the principal signatories are the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Works and Transport, Mr. Bagaya Waiswa, and the Under Secretary and Acting Permanent Secretary, Madam Barbara Namugambi. Alternate signatories is the Assistant Commission account, Madam Emily Birekeyaho, and the Principal Accountant, Mr. Martin Mohanji. The amounts of interim payment certificates are inconsistent. What is the rationale? The inconsistencies in the amounts on the IPCs arise from the performance-based nature of the contract. The contract provides for clearly defined key performance indicators and service levels against which the contractor's performance is assessed for each IPC. Where non-compliance with KPIs or service levels during the assessment period, deductions are applied to the payment. Converse are applied. That explains the variance in the IPC amount because performance is never constant. Withholding tax charged on the income of the operator on IPCs is 6%. The withholding tax on VAT under former UNRWA, which was a designated agency, was 6%. While the 15% withholding tax is charged on interest earned, and this is remitted to URA. Interest earned on the Stanbic deposits. We'll go to page 11. What is the collection method abbreviated as APCUG? This is a system-generated unique identifier for all Airtel money transactions. That is their standard. It's only the number that differs to differentiate the transaction. On 5th May 2026, there was an internal transfer to an escrow account of 22 billion. Similarly, on 23rd June, there was another debit of 11 billion to an escrow account. Can we be furnished with the details of the escrow account and the purpose of this transfer? These relate to transfers made from the control account to the escrow account to facilitate loan repayment. The escrow account is managed by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Road toll revenue collected and reported. The question was to provide a monthly reconciliation statement for each year from 2022 to June 2026. That begins with passages by vehicle class, applies the gazetted fee, deducts discounts allowed by product and unbilled passages, and ends at cash banked in the control account. Members, the monthly reconciliation statements have all been provided as Annex 6. Page 12. State the revenue foregone in each year through the weekly pass, the monthly pass, and the Easy Pass wallet separately, together with a share of passages. The discounts accorded to frequent users of the expressway are in accordance with the toll strategy report of 2019, section 5.6, to engage multiple use of the expressway. Ideally, this has not been declared as revenue foregone, but we request that we will calculate it together with the committee, because it's not one of the indicators that we normally calculate. How many tailgating incidents were recorded in each year? What is their estimated value? How much has been recovered? And what sanctions have been applied to the operator for revenue so lost? The tailgating incidents per year have been provided as an annex and the estimated value. No recovery has been made so far, as this is not the operator's risk. So the ministry is engaging the stakeholders to ensure compliance and enforcement. These will be charged under the Road Traffic and Road Safety Act when we can be able to arrest them. Do the automatic vehicle classification systems reconcile to manual counts, and what is the classification error rate at each of the Busega, Kajansi and Impala plazas? The automatic vehicle count and the manual count do not reconcile for some classes. That is class 2 and class 4B. This is attributed to the various classification methods, models. One uses image recognition and machine learning, that is the AVC, while the manual is ideally by sight. So there's a discrepancy between that and the other. Yeah, to mitigate this, we shall have to connect to the motor vehicle registration database in the next system, so that we have a match for match. Explain the fall in non-chargeable passages from 12,000 in 2022 to 2,794 in 2025. Was this a change in exemptions granted or a correction of how passages were classified? Members, the NC does not represent non-chargeable, but it represents non-classified vehicles. And 2022 was the first year of tolling, and is when the system was rolled out, and the system testing was conducted in the production environment. So some of those inconsistencies were as the reason of that during the rollout. Reconciled collections of 191 billion against the escrow transfer of 129 billion, and operator payments of 55 billion, and account for the residue of the 6.5 billion, and provide certified balances on both accounts as at 30th June 2026. Members, as 30th June 2026, the transactions are as follows. Collection credits were 191 billion as stated. The expenses or debits had a 129 billion transferred to the escrow account. We had balances, bank charges of 268,150. We have a withholding tax 15% on the interest earned, which equates to 415 million, and then the operator transfer of 55 billion. When you sum up all those, you come to 185 billion 382 million 172,209 shillings. The closing balance as at 30th June 2026 was 5,769,143,002 billion. From the above, it was noted that the closing balance at 30th June was that 5.7 billion. Now, when you deduct this as stated in the question, we noticed that it was a round-off error that accounted for that misclosure, and also as explained on the bank charges and the withholding tax. Has the Auditor General audited toll collections for any year since 2022? And what were the findings on the completeness of revenue? Provide the management letters and the ministry's response. Our KE has been audited by Auditor General from 2022 to date as part of the annual financial audits under the Office of the Auditor General. We've attached a report for the financial year 2022-23 under an annex. Road toll costs. What is the complete breakdown of the 55 billion paid to the operator to date, distinguish amounts paid to Aegis before novation from amounts paid or payable to Pinnacle Security Limited after 8th May. To date, no amount has been paid to Pinnacle Security Limited from the control account, and the 55 billion was money that was fully paid to Aegis. The breakdown was provided. The reference to the annex are not there, but it was provided. Why does the arithmetic residue of approximately 6.4 billion between total collections, escrow transfer and operator payments stay unexplained? We've explained the residue, and to just reiterate, it's as a result of round-off effect as earlier provided in the issues above. The difference of the 6 billion relates to bank charges, withholding to interest and withholding tax on interest, and the closing balance as at 30th June. A table has been provided on page 14 showing the breakdown. What independent verification has been undertaken of the value delivered under the one-off works of 25 billion and the revised extension schedule of 36 billion provide the certified status of interim payment certificates 59, 60, 61 and 62 and all outstanding work orders. The one-off works valued at 25 billion comprised the provision of design services, road safety facilities, expressway lighting, the tolling system, the independent traffic monitoring system, and the overload control system. The works were subject to verification against the contractual requirements, including confirmation of completion and compliance with the applicable specifications and performance requirements prior to certification. To date, 21 billion has been certified and paid, leaving a balance of 1.667 billion pending completion of the overload control system, and the 1.98 billion, which is IPC 60 for road safety facilities, which were completed. The breakdown of the 36 billion is provided in the table below, which is equivalent to the unutilized balance of the original contract ceiling of 122 billion. And the status of IPC 59, 61 and 62 have all been paid, while IPC 60 is under processing. Payment process. The table on page 15 breaks down the contract of 122, the previously certified amounts up to IPC 61, which accounts for 84 billion, and the pending IPC, which is 62 and 63, totaling to 1.84 billion under performance-based operation. The total amount utilized.
Menya, the minister, one of your members should give the minister space.
Sorry.
No, General, you sit. What will happen when the Minister of Works comes now? No, you must sit. I thought you would sit, but you sit. You have a seat. Kindly proceed.
Chair, I was on pending, that is column 4, pending IPCs, which is IPC 62 and 63, totaling 1.84 billion. And column 5 shows the total amount utilized under the original contract. Under performance-based operations and maintenance, we had utilized 47 billion, leaving a contract balance of 7.7 billion. The one-off designs, 23, we had spent 193 million on fiscal contingency out of the 2.5 billion, and they had measured works which were allocated 12 billion. We had only spent 1.78 billion, totaling to 73 billion. If you apply VAT, we stood at 86 billion. Now, after the innovation, the contract balance stood at 36 billion. Now, if you notice, the 7.7 billion was money not sufficient to run for 1 year. So there was a bit of rearrangement, but the breakdown of the revised price schedule within the contract extension, the total of 36 billion, which is the outstanding amount on the 122, is broken down as follows. The performance-based operation and maintenance services are estimated at 11 billion. The one-off design and construction works is the 1.67 billion. This accounts for the overload control system. The 10% contingency on B, which is 2.35. The admeasured road maintenance works, valued at 10 billion. The 10% physical contingency, 1.2. The 10% variation on AD and E, which is 3.6 billion, totaling to 30 billion. If you apply VAT of 5.5, it comes to 36 billion. I'll go to page 16. What is the current outstanding balance on the 350 million US dollar loan and the amount of interest paid to date? Honorable members, the ministry has transferred a total of 129 billion from the contra account to the escrow account towards loan repayment. The details of the outstanding balance on the loan and the interest paid to date can be obtained from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, which manages the loan repayments and also manages the escrow account. What is the timeline that has been set for the full implementation of the electronic toll collection system? The ministry anticipates to launch the electronic toll collection within 12 months, and in the interim, mobile money payments are scheduled to commence in September 2026. Provide a complete audit trail to review exemption and violation transaction from January 2022 to date, including the monetary value of the uncollected tolls arising from forced entry and tailgating. Honorable members, this has been provided as an annex. I'm just going to confirm so that we can lay it on table. Apologies for that missing text. What enforcement measures have been taken against repeated violators? What is the cumulative variance between toll system counts and traffic monitoring system counts since commissioning, and how has that variance been resolved? The ministry has had repeated engagements with Uganda Police and organized transporters such as the UTOF to sensitize them. These are the guys who manage the Fly Express Entebbe taxis that ply on the expressway. The ministry has also come up with an initiative which we named Name and Shame to curb repeated violators, which is expected to be launched in September 2026. We have video footage of all the offenders, and these repeated violators shall be prosecuted in accordance with the Roads Act. The current variance between the toll system and the traffic monitoring system in terms of numbers, that is total volume counts, is 0. The only difference is in the classification of Class 2 and Class 4B. Why does cash continue to dominate at approximately 80% more than 4 years after the launch? As the toll feasibility report of 2018 record for Uganda